Hello. Welcome. Or welcome back to Heretic Tarot. My name is Liz, and I will be guiding you on this journey if we ever get there. Just kind of getting everything set up. How are you? How is it going? I'm glad that we are finally in May. Look at this. I don't know what is going on with my skin. Hopefully your skin is glowing and beautiful. The opposite of mine. But, I hope the rest of April was good for you. I haven't even said it yet, but this is the reading for the 5-1 Heretic Investigator profile in human design. If you don't know your human design profile, there's a link in the description below for you to get your human design body graph. And among the plethora of information specifically about you and your design, your profile will be one of the things listed on there. I also do zodiac readings, so definitely be sure to check out your sun, your rising, anything that jumps out at you. It's so funny because I keep feeling this, I guess you could call it pressure to start these readings, to get going on these readings. I actually tried yesterday and I pulled a whole spread and then realized that I was actually late or needed to get ready to leave, or I was going to be late to an appointment. So I stopped and then I tried to come back and do it again, when I got back home yesterday afternoon, and that just it wasn't going anywhere. So I was like, okay. I whipped out my little pendulum that I keep here for all major decisions and asked it if I need to re-pull the spread or keep the same spread, and it told me to re-pull it. So, I already kind of had that feeling anyway, but who trusts themselves? So I'm joking. But anyway, here we are. Just weird. I don't know. How are you guys feeling? Are you feeling a little bit of that, kind of push and pull, kind of back and forth, kind of energy? I mean, I have a defined root center, so I always try to keep that in mind when I feel pressure to move or to do anything, because obviously we don't make decisions from pressure centers. So I want to make sure that it's in alignment. Speaking of, with, just with my energy, with the vibe, with, I don't want to sit down and do readings if the energy is not available. So, I was just kind of fluttering around this morning, and again, just, feeling that pressure, that push to sit down here and start the readings, and ultimately came to a decision that it does feel good to do that. So here we are. That's my whole spiel that you guys probably didn't even really care about. But the card that came out, this is the Journey Oracle deck, is alignment. I love that. Even speaking of, my attention immediately went to the root chakra here. Pressure, right? So that's kind of interesting. Let's get your tarot cards out, and then of course we will put a story together. Cards jumping all over the place. We have the Justice card. Oh, cards flying everywhere. That might be too many cards, but we'll see. We have the Fool. We have the Empress. We have the Queen of Swords. We have the Nine of Wands. And then we have the Moon with the Six of Swords. We might just keep these together because we make our own rules over here. They came out together this way, so we might just keep them there. We'll just kind of see what ends up coming out. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, the Six of Wands behind it. I also just kind of feel the way that I structure these readings, it feels like it's going to be changing in some capacity. I'm not even sure how, and I'm trying to keep all my chakras open to whatever the possibility of that is, like I'm trying to go with the flow, basically, is all I wanted to say about that. But we'll see what happens. I just want to see, like, if this guidebook has any interesting insight about the alignment card, or if it's just more obvious, Let's see. It says, life is a journey toward aligning with our true selves, connecting in mind, body, and spirit with our highest path. We see clearly because we are looking inwards for answers. We are filled with purpose and can truly give our gifts to the world, which is what it desperately needs. Coming into alignment can sometimes feel like an elusive process. The outside world cannot show us the way. This comes from within. Give yourself the time and space to explore what it is that truly lights you up, as that will illuminate your unique path. It is our commitment to wholeness that matters, the willingness to unfold in every deep aspect of our being. Jack Cornfield. I mean, actually, I think that actually, like, perfectly even sums up this whole reading for us, because there does seems to be this vibe about even interesting that I was saying that, like, it feels like the way that I structure these readings is going to change, but it's more so like being open to more possibility, like deepening even my understanding of the cards, my understanding of my intuition, like even, allowing that to expand in it. The reading feels the same. So I wonder if you are experiencing some aspect of your life where, like you can recognize, you can feel the, I had to pet my dog. Like when he comes over for a pet, I got to do it. So, but it's like you recognize that it's time to do that. And it is. So, again, it feels like confirmation of that. So whatever that is for you, right? Especially with the alignment card coming out, it's like, if you've been doing the work, whatever capacity that work has been for you, if you have been doing the work, it's like you recognize that there's even maybe like the next step, if it's like a staircase, it's time to take the next step up, even, a ladder, whatever you want to like use as an analogy for like, going upwards. But because I also think too, like, the more that you go within yourself, right? The more that we decondition, because that's, I think, the major part of human design is deconditioning, because you can't really honor, you can't even really hear or understand your strategy and authority until, we've worked through a lot of the conditioning that we've picked up along the way. So, but then it like becomes this thing of evolution, right? Like evolving. There's something that you're like, I feel something greater, or I feel like, again, taking that next step. So we start with the Justice card, which is Libra. And even, like the book was, I think, even saying, like, this card does talk about fate and karma. It's the scales balancing and fairness. It could even be, of course, too, like really stepping into your power in some capacity, using your voice, using your strength, using your knowledge, of course, with the first line, and universalizing it in that, practical, unique way that fifth lines have the ability to see a different perspective. Because, heretic also means going against tradition. So, seeing things differently, being able to communicate that, again, like universalize it. Like if somebody comes to you and asks you a way to do something, then, it's like, well, have you tried doing it this way? And they could be like, no, that would have never crossed my mind to even try it that way. It is really interesting. So Libra is obviously an air sign, right? But We have this waterfall here. You know, this tree looks like it's reflecting off of water. This angel or whatever it is flying above it. So it's almost like this thing of avoid danger in some capacity. If there has been emotional turmoil in some sense, because again, you know, with the waterfall, right? Like that to me, it just feels like tumultuous, right? I mean, like if you're coming up to a waterfall, you know, you start feeling a little stressed, like, you know, how high is this waterfall? Like, you know, what's at the bottom of it, you know, type of thing. Like if you were to ever be in the water coming up to a waterfall, right? So it's interesting because it does definitely feel like either avoiding that or there's something that's going to happen that's going to level that out. Of course, you know, the justice card can be like literal justice, like law enforcement or court in some capacity. And it is about seeing the evidence objectively, right? Like what can be proven, what can be shown to be fact. Justice is literally supposed to be blind, because when we start inserting our emotions into it, then it becomes a belief. And that's not, you know, everybody's beliefs differ. So it's got to be, right, like objective, logical, again, what you can prove. And then it's paired with the Queen of Swords, who is also air. So there's a lot of this kind of mental stuff starting off here between the Justice card and the Queen of Swords. Queens are also individual for me anyway. Like I see queens as when we embody the energy of the suit ourselves. We recognize the energy of the suit ourselves. We master that energy within ourselves too. So swords have to do with our mind, our thoughts, ideas, beliefs, how we communicate those things. I also see swords as being the suit of ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences and feelings and people, places, things, right? And it becomes a reason why we do things and why we don't do things. So there's this like clarity of thought that comes with the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is also depicted sometimes as being a bit cold, like, you know, cold shoulder, a little bitchy, if you will. But it's because like she's logical. And sometimes that can come across as dry, right? Or even like pretentious or condescending a little bit. But I mean, you're basing things off of fact, right? Like you're being logical. And with the absence of emotion, people sometimes are like, oh, you're just kind of crass, or you're dry, or whatever. And that may not be how you are at all, but you're just like, I'm just telling you facts. Like so also the Queen of Swords is going to cut through any shit. Like anything you try to come at her with that is not true or even not in alignment, like she will just slice right through it. And I also think it's interesting that the Justice card, I mean, they usually have a sword anyway. It's, you know, the sword of truth, which is also the Ace of Swords. But I just think it's interesting how, you know, they kind of have this determination here. Like it seems like there's this clear direction. It could even be bypassing emotion, like not really considering the rapid, you know, emotion or rapids of emotion. And both of them are like literally in the air too, which, you know, I think is interesting. I kind of just want to see if there's, here we go. Mental breakthrough, focused thinking, planning ahead, propelling forward with the Queen of Swords. Oops. Revealing truth, shifting balance, consequences, shedding weight with the Justice card. So yeah, especially with this alignment card. Because that is exactly, right? Like that is exactly what we have to do in order to get into alignment, right? Shed weight, whether it's mental, physical, people, possessions, just like the things that just kind of like tie us down, conditioning, like I was talking about before, getting focused in your thoughts, even getting clear on what alignment is for you. And then we have the Fool card next. The Fool card is a leap of faith. It's a brand new beginning. I also see it's a 0 here, right? So I also see the Fool card as that moment before we take the leap, because clearly they're not off of this cliff yet, but they're there. I mean, this dog almost kind of looks like they're about to go for it, like how they're like, if you jump, I jump, right? I also think it's interesting that we have the Aries symbol right there, because there's all that shit happening in Aries right now. Like Mars is in Aries, Chiron, the North Node. Who else? Let's see. Mercury. I forgot about Mercury. We just came out of Mercury retrograde. So Mars, the North Node, Chiron, Mercury. And Mercury and Chiron are like right on top of each other right now. Pretty close together. So wherever Aries is for you, like the Fool card isn't even attached to Aries. So that's why maybe this isn't even the Aries symbol. I don't know. It could be a glyph that, the maker of this deck made. It looks like the Aries symbol to me, so I could also be wrong there. But I do just find that interesting. Like that we do have a ton of stuff in Aries right now. I mean, even Mars being in its home sign of Aries too, right? Like I also heard that it's like sextiling Pluto, which is just kind of energizing the vibe between those two. So, again, it's like this feeling of like, with Mars is about motivation and go-getting, initiating, cutting even. There's a bit of aggression that comes with Mars. Think of like a match, just like that, a spark turns into a flame, type of thing. But it's like that motivation that just kind of hits you and you just kind of like literally you just go for it, like with a Fool card. It's also even, it is taking a risk. It's trusting the unknown. It's allowing the unexpected. It's welcoming uncertainty, because it really is like, this whole thing about trusting and surrendering, that once you do take this leap, the next step, the path, the net, whatever it is, will appear for you. And it always does. And it's interesting that we actually have it paired with the 9 of Wands. I'm actually kind of curious. I'm kind of digging these like keywords. New start, excitement, potential, opportunities. And it says, standing on the precipice of their with their loyal dog by their side, the Fool looks upward with an open heart and an open mind. Like a blank slate, the Fool is unaware of the cruelty of the world. We have all been the Fool and will be the Fool. If it weren't for the endings, we'd have nowhere to start. Yeah, I love that. If it weren't for the endings, we would have nowhere to start. Huh. Especially coming after the Justice card and the Queen of Swords, because both of them were talking about focusing. The Justice card was talking about dropping weight. And to me, that just feels like letting go of whatever is holding you back, whatever is holding you down. Again, it could be a behavior pattern, a thought pattern. It could be, expectations from somebody else. It could be a societal or cultural thing, whatever it is, right? And then the Fool card is like, F it. I feel it in me. I feel like there's something there. And to not honor that within myself is almost like a betrayal, like against yourself, Interesting. And then, like I said, we have it paired with the 9 of Wands. Wands are fire. Fire has to do with motivation. I mean, Mars is fire too, right? So it's kind of a lot of those same themes. But you know, it's motivation, it's action, like taking action towards something, the motivation behind the actions that you take, creativity, passion, how are you communicating those things? What actions are you taking towards those things? I also see wands as being information by way of life experience, because that's what we get by trying things, right? We figure out what works, what doesn't work, what do we like, what don't we like, what stays, what goes, right? And that just becomes experience. It becomes wisdom also. So when we get to the 9 of Wands, 9s are also individual completion. So not only do we have the Queen of Swords out here, which is, again, individual, we recognize the energy of the suit within ourselves. 9s are individual completion, whereas 10s are like communal completion. So when we get to the 9 of Wands, the 9 of Wands is generally like the wounded warrior. They've been through it, right? I mean, you started at the Ace, now you're at the 9. You have this experience here. I mean, they're making those wands. It kind of looks like, you know, being forged in fire, literally. You might feel that way in some capacity because you've been through it, right? However, so the 9 of Wands is saying that, you know, the things that you have been through, the things that you have tried, the lessons that you've picked up along the way, you know, sure, they might have beaten you up a little bit because that's life usually, right? And you're almost there. It's a card about like even taking a break if you need to, even, you know, allowing those things to sink in. It's a really good time to also decide what it is that you want to take forward with you, how those lessons, even skills, because that's also something that we pick up through just trying things, skills. Because even, you know, I mean, this person, like, you know, if they are making these wands here, right? Like I literally am thinking of that show Forged in Fire where they made like knives and stuff, like literally from scratch. It takes practice. You had to learn how to do that. You probably got burned a couple times, right? Like to know what not to do. Let's see. Mending, final push, resilience, persistence. From broken wands, a new set of wands is forged. This time, the wands are not fused with external power, but instead just with magic from within. Power can only be manifested through the new wands if it is used with high good intentions. I love actually that is paired with the Fool card. Because truly, right? Like no matter what the recent past or the past, you know, 3 years, past 5 years, the past, you know, whatever, 10 years, I think we all have been through a lot, right? I mean, and it really is like things being broken down, things being kind of pulled apart. There's, you know, this opportunity here to put things together in a different way where, you know, maybe you're more intentional with how you even approach this Fool card. You're more intentional with how you put yourself back together, how you put your life, your relationships, whatever it is, back together, and also even recognizing what intention you have behind doing those things. And again, I feel like all of that stuff becomes more clear the more we deconditioned, which I also think is just such an amazing thing about human design too, is the focus on that, because truly it is like, you know, for us to be our pure, true, whatever selves, and even our intentions change throughout this process, right? So then we move on to the Empress card. The reason why I said it like that is because we have this Fool card. We have this Aries symbol, which to me, it looks like Aries. So I'm rolling with it. Okay. And then we have the Empress card, which is Venus, which is Taurus and Libra. So it's interesting that we even have the Justice card out here. Venus is in Taurus right now. And it will be, I believe, for the month. Maybe not quite the whole month. I'm not sure. I want to say it is going to be the whole month. But right now in Taurus, we have Venus, we have the Sun, we have Uranus, and Jupiter. I know Jupiter changes signs later this month too. It goes into Gemini. But right now we have this, powerhouse of energy in Taurus right now. So wherever Taurus is for you, but again, Venus is at home in Taurus, just like Mars is at home in Aries, right? So there's these energies that are here, they're available to help, right? And the Empress card talks about, it's the divine feminine, the energy, not the gender, but just nurturing, intuition, going with the flow, receiving, allowing things to come to you. That's very strategy and authority too. Fertility. I mean, the Empress is generally pregnant in her card. In this card, she isn't. But it does talk about fertility of opportunity. It's being able to reproduce something in your life, whether, that's an abundance of something, an abundance of love, an abundance of opportunity or friendship or, whatever the case may be. It's seeing beauty in everything. I mean, she's even floating above her throne too. So that's interesting. It really feels like coming into yourself in some capacity, like, there's this empowerment, and especially with alignment, right? Because I feel like feeling aligned is definitely very empowering because you feel like yourself, right? You're not wearing all of these different masks or different hats or whatever, right? Like, you're not protecting yourself with all of these layers of conditioning or fear or ego or whatever, like even letting go of one aspect of those things can even change the way that you feel about yourself and how your entire outlook. There's even like a self-care aspect to it. And what's interesting also is that, see, like this waterfall here, she's like right on the edge of this river here also. So who knows, like this waterfall, wherever that is, could be feeding this river, this stream. I mean, it clearly is, because that's like just the process of this reading so far, starting there, ending like with the Empress, like the Justice card is on one side, the Empress is on the other side of the reading. Also too, I didn't even really say, but like there's 4 major arcana cards on the table, and major arcana cards are like, I mean, they're major, right? Minor arcana, like we're just going through the energy, right? Like swords have to do with our thoughts. So it's, the movement through our thinking. Wands have to do with, like I said, action and motivation. So we're moving through what actions we're taking. Pentacles have to do with our money, or the physical plane. So again, it's the energy of moving through those things. The the major arcana is like literally us moving through life, and just the things that come up along the way. So you will see or feel or recognize the energy of major arcanas in your life. So then we have the 6 of Swords. The Empress says femininity, abundance, fertility, natural power. The Empress floats above her throne in harmony with the surrounding world, symbolizing her fertility and natural power. At the foot of her throne is a shield with a sign for Venus. The Empress is connected to the divine feminine and in turn is connected to Earth itself, which, yeah. I feel like in a roundabout way, that's what I was saying even before. I love that. So the Six of Swords, it's really like a shift in mindset for me. Like that's the first thing that came to mind with swords, and swords occupy the mind. But because the Six of Swords is generally like moving forward. We're allowing our thoughts now to be focused forward, not in the past. We're not worried so much about what happened in the past. We're not allowing the things that happened in our past to affect the future, to affect the direction that we're heading in. So again, with the Six of Swords, there is this energy of, again, shifting your mindset, allowing it to be forward focused, thinking even about the future. And it's interesting too that it came out with the Moon card. So the Moon talks about the subconscious, for one. It also talks about secrets and like, all has yet to be revealed. I think it's kind of interesting, a little funny that it came out with the Six of Swords, because it almost kind of feels like don't think too much about it. And truly, the answers aren't going to come from the mind anyway. The answers aren't going to come from our thoughts or our beliefs. Like, because the Moon is associated to Cancer, Pisces sometimes too, depending on who you ask. Either way, it's water, which is our emotions. I know that I feel like on the 7th, is it a new moon or a full moon? I didn't even actually look at any of the like astrology or anything before starting these readings, but I believe on May 7th, there's either a full moon or a new moon. But I don't necessarily, I'm just pointing that out. I mean, if you do any type of like ritual around moon cycles, it could be that, but it really does feel more about like the most important thing is to allow yourself to move forward, to think future, to not be attached even to any one thing. I opened literally right to the Moon card. It says masking fears, illumination, that which is hidden, obscurity. In the dark of night, the moon lights up a pitch black sky. The moon speaks to what is hidden. Much like the high priestess, the moon is controlled by the subconscious mind. The moon can mask our fears and hide our feelings, but keep these things hidden in the darkness will only cause them to grow in the night. This time around, the fool must learn to let everything be seen for what it truly is. I also love that because we actually even have the Fool on the table, and there's the sun out, and then, of course, the moon. Here are the two luminaries in the sky. Usually, like the Six of Swords, they're in a boat, and they're moving from choppy waters to more peaceful waters. So it could even be communicating, because it says, don't keep things hidden anymore. If there's a conversation that needs to be had, if there's even something within yourself that you just need to allow yourself to illuminate in some capacity, whether, again, we're kind of talking, if there's something that you've wanted to do because, it's in you, you can feel it, it's authentic, it's in alignment with you, then, it feels like this is saying to do that. Don't keep it hidden anymore. Even, between these two, there's this moon that sword is sticking out of, and that even kind of looks like the sun, or like a sun being. And that sword is sticking into the moon, and with it coming out with the moon, and the Moon card specifically talking about shedding light on the things that we've kept in the dark. Okay. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, which is work. Stones or pentacles have to do with our money, how we get it, how we save it, how we spend it. It's our physical time. Where are we showing up in our physical lives? It's our health. It's anything that we place worth and value on. And the Eight of Pentacles is about focusing your time and attention on something in order to master it. And even look at the waterfalls, right? And the Justice card, you know, with the waterfalls. And then I was talking about, like, with the Empress card, how, you know, that little river stream, I don't know where to put my hands. The little river or stream could be the result of this waterfall feeding it. That's just so interesting. That's just so interesting how that even happened. Learning environment, developing skills, attaining goals, sense of fulfillment. Over time, the stones grow into large bodies of land. This land begins to develop life on its own. Waterfalls cascade down lush forests and feed the sea. The sea reaches a new sense of fulfillment. And then the Six of Wands after that, this is a card of victory and success. It's being recognized for your achievements, for the actions that you've taken. This also even too just feels like passing the torch type of thing. This person is giving it, this person is receiving it, or the other way around. I feel like the orange is giving it. This side of the card represents the past. This side of the card represents the future. Like the left side is the past, the right side is the future. So it feels like, you know, this person is handing the baton, the torch, whatever, to you. This pimple really hurts. Thanks for not judging me. And I'm going to leave it there. I think this was beautiful. I actually think this was more better. I know that's not proper, than the reading that came out yesterday. So I'm glad. I'm glad that, and yesterday's reading was good too. But I just think this is more in alignment. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.